Okay. I guess I should dive right into it then. So hi, everybody. I hope you're having an awesome time at this party. It is a really crazy thing that came together, and I hope it is as cool for you as it is for me. I'm Maggie. I'm the Director of Communications here at Rad Magpie, and tonight I am going to be talking about our annual campaign. So if you didn't already know, but you probably already know, Rad Magpie is a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization. And this makes us really different from other game studios in a whole lot of ways. It's a pretty unique experience. So for the first part of this presentation, I want to dive into what makes it different and how we're different from other studios and why that works so well for us. Big deal number one is we get to be mission driven. And Dana definitely touched on this a little bit in her presentation, but this is one of the coolest things about being a nonprofit studio. Our mission, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion through radical interactive media, shines through pretty much every decision we make here, from running the business to choosing the game projects that we pursue. And we're able to do work that we know will make a difference. And answering to our values instead of the almighty dollar allows us to do just that. And then big deal number two, kind of similarly, by being a nonprofit, we're able to support our constituents without demanding super high performance from them. And what I mean by this is with our college incubator participants and our own staff as well, we're all about audacity and trying new things, or doing things that might not be as well accepted by the mass market. From exploring heavier subjects to creating really representative work, we can focus on having our developers have really helpful and impactful experiences rather than focusing on the bottom line. We encourage our devs to fail and to learn from their failure, and we encourage them to take artistic risks that might not go over as well at a traditional studio. We also work to support folks through their failure and to cultivate a safe space so that this audacity doesn't come from wanting to do, the audacity will come from a feeling of security, basically. Of course, return on investment is still really important, and we can't just churn out projects that don't meet our standards, but there's less pressure to perform and to stick to the mold. And this is all because we can answer to our donors, who are people who believe in our mission, instead of trying to appease consumers. Because we rely on donors, we need to fundraise. And again, this is a little bit about some stuff that Dana talked about earlier, but this brings us to the whole point of why I'm talking to you tonight, which is the 2020 annual campaign. So let's take a look. Here is a glimpse at our campaign this year. It runs from right this very second to the end of September. And we are hoping to raise $5,000 to help sustain our programs and our operating budget. And this bird pal, this is Ellie. She was designed by a community member, Christy McCowan. I don't know if you're in this room, but hi if you are. And she, Ellie, is our interactive campaign tracker. So as we get closer to our donation goal over the next month or so, Ellie will level up and gain cool new strengths and abilities. We'll be sharing a lot more about Ellie on our social media over the next few weeks. So if you want to see the high-powered versions of this character, which are really cool, definitely give us a follow on social media so you can follow her journey. So what does the money that we're raising, what does that all go towards? Here's a look at our expenses from last year, from 2019. 77% of the funds we spent went to supporting the development of our programs through the paychecks of our employees. We believe that paying a fair wage is critical, and that one of the most important ways to support an underrepresented creator is to give them a job. So we work really hard to do just that. And this data is great to look at, but what does it mean in terms of the day-to-day fulfillment of our mission? How does the money hit the ground? I'm going to go into that right now. So, sorry, I feel like I'm talking real fast. Got to take a breath. One way we put our donor funding into action this year was through our Rad Studio Scholarship Fund, which was really awesome. We were able to subsidize Rad Studio program costs for all of our students and fully fund the experience for some of them. Without funding from our donors, some of our Rad Studio cohort, whose videos you saw earlier, you might mingle with later in the party, their experiences just simply wouldn't have been possible without this donor support. We are, of course, constantly working to make program costs more accessible, but it comes down to the generosity of our donors to fill in these gaps. Just check out this quote on the screen from one of our program participants this year. This is the kind of feedback that makes all of this so worth it. But this particular student was a scholarship recipient. So this profound experience they had wouldn't have been possible without the help of our donors. So this is just one example of the people whose lives we've touched in this way. It's really awesome. Another way our donor funding gets put into practice is through employing diverse creators. Here's just a smattering of people we have worked with over the past couple of years. But we are super in the business of practicing what we preach. Almost everyone we employ or contract here is a member of the constituency that we serve. And our donor funding directly works to keep these folks employed. Our annual campaign is especially important for this because our annual campaign funds are unrestricted, so they're able to go to operations and things like payroll, the sort of behind the scenes work that brings the rest of our programming to life. And when you donate to Rad Magpie, because we employ these diverse creators, you're not just supporting like the general concept of diversifying the industry, you're helping a creator put food on the table, and that's a concrete action that you can feel good about. So do you want to take part in our annual campaign? It is super easy, especially today. Any donation you make tonight counts towards our annual campaign goal. And you can participate anytime from now until the end of September. The quickest way to donate is through the party wiki that you might already have open in another tab right now. You can just donate through the fundraising tab there. You can also donate through PayPal on our website any day of the year. And if you're more comfortable writing us a check, you can let me know and I'll hook you up with Dana's address, or you can let Dana know and Dana will hook you up with Dana's address. Either way, we'll make it super easy for you to contribute to our mission. And, oh yes, if you donate tonight at the Monster Hand, of course, we'll add your candle to the cake. And thank you for attending my little talk. And if you have any questions, feel free to throw them at me.
Word. That was nice.
Thank you.
Have you guys, so that was from last year. Have you guys grown a lot since then?
Dana could answer that question a little better than I can. How much of that funding pie?
Oh, I'm not asking. I don't need to know that. I'm just curious how large, how much more you guys have been doing.
50%. We're spending 50% more.
Oh, word.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot. Growth. Yeah.
Are you feeling like you're going to continue to do well at this point?
Yeah, I think so. Specifically for some of the reasons that I mentioned before, it's being able, for a long time, like our success felt like an abstract thing. It felt like we were getting lucky. And so when I actually started diving into what led to our success, I mean, what really led to our success was a lot of community connections and a lot of outreach and a lot of people wanting to see us succeed. And that is an actionable thing that we can continue to work on and cultivate.
Yeah.
And so kind of like shifting that, that idea that like, oh, we're successful because like, I don't know, people like us, I guess, to like, no, we know the numbers, like we know the metrics, and we can build concrete strategies to continue growing our revenue and to just continue growing. It feels so different to feel like it went from feeling like, oh, this is great, we're all lucky, to feeling like, no, we're in control, we're making this happen, which is really powerful.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think that this is going real well.
Thank you.
I have a question. How has the pandemic impacted your mission and your strategic plan?
Mag, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, it sure has shifted a whole lot this year, just because our summer was sort of based around this idea of a residential Rad Studio program, which we had to completely pivot into something that was online. But because of that, we were able to sort of expand our reach into a lot of colleges and reach a lot of students that we otherwise wouldn't have thought to sort of welcome into our bubble. And it's something that we're going to sort of lean into in future years for our programming, is expanding our reach outside of this Burlington bubble. So while the pandemic has definitely shaken a lot of things up for us, I think it has given us a new perspective on a lot of our programs, which has been really cool.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. I mean, even if you do a residential program next summer, it would be really cool to have to be able to have a remote team, right?
Yeah.
So that there could be because it is nice for people who can't travel and spend a summer in Burlington or can't afford it, right? So it also adds a layer of accessibility, which is kind of cool financially.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to ask if you were planning to do another remote thing like this, because it did feel like residential would be cool, but it was also more expensive. So like more people would have had access to this version of the experience.
Yeah, nothing is set in stone, but we loved Rad Studio Online. So I'd do it again.
Absolutely. Yeah, we loved it.
Has it? Do you feel like moving past Rad Studio and looking into the future? Do you feel like the pandemic has more created opportunities or more added more uncertainty and risk? Like, where do you feel prepared to sort of weather that storm? And I'm just curious.
I'd say yes and no for the reason that Maggie said. I mean, it was switching online cut a lot of costs for us. And expanded our reach. The scariest thing is that a lot of donors are focusing elsewhere for more immediate pandemic related needs. So that we just kind of like put a big old pause button on that. We're like, other people need it a little more right now. That's what we were thinking. So I'd say yes and no. But I would say that we were remarkably lucky. We completely transitioned completely online within the course of like a week. And we miss seeing each other. Like I'm literally sitting 20 feet away from Megan in a different room. But that's true of everybody, I guess.